Welcome to an FA Cup special Magpie Circle podcast as we count down to kick off for the visit of Rochdale to Meadow Lane on Tuesday night. A match that could be worth, or is definitely worth, in excess of £80,000. Could be worth as much as £150,000 if Notts could also get through in round two. But let's not count our chickens too much. But it's been a great weekend for the club. A record-breaking National League crowd, 12,867. Fantastically executed fans fixture for my money by the club. Textbook from start to finish. 4 wins out of 5 in the last and our recent National League fixtures. 2-0 against Solihull. Great day out, I think, for all concerned. Looking good in the table at the minute. Also want to talk about the National League being proactive for once, asking for clubs to wear their away kits on Boxing Day. You may have read this has been an initiative turned down by the Premier League. This is to support the homeless and the shelter organisation. We're at Kings Lynn, so we will be in our away kit. What do we think? I think excellent from the National League. Here's 2 others from me. What other ideas do you think the National League can come up with that makes their league a little bit different, a little bit better than the Football League, a little bit more latitude, a little bit more flexibility? 2 from me. I would publish the playing budgets of all National League clubs. So as opposed to us saying, oh, so-and-so spending a lot more money than them, and that club saying, actually, we're not spending as much. I'm not talking about individual player salaries. I'm talking about publishing each club's total playing budget. Yes, that will change during the season, but why not at the start of the season? We can all have a look at what our club is paying and see how much value each club is getting for money. And 2, I would publish all transfer fees among National League clubs. Clearly, if you're buying off the Football League, they may not want that figure being published. But why shouldn't all transfer fees incurred among National League clubs, why shouldn't those fees be published? A lot of debate about Kabongo Chimanga going for Boreham Wood to Chesterfield. Reported fee of 250,000. None of us know. Chesterfield claim it's nowhere near that. But why not publish those figures? Are they really that commercially sensitive when we talk about clubs prudently managing their budgets? Transparency. Send in your thoughts on what you think the National League could introduce compared to other leagues, National League and Premier League. Okay, we shall crack on with the show. We won't be too long tonight because there's the small matter of that nerve-jangling game, England in San Marino. I've been seeing they've been having a few electricity problems. The lights went out an hour or 2 ago, but I believe they've sorted that out. And let's just run through a quick welcome to all our guests this evening who are already on the blower. David Shorter, evening all. Mark Weiler, evening, or what a day Saturday was. Gary Wardle, evening, all you happy pies. There's a little bit of banter I know that does go on between Gary Wardle and Chris Gosling. I've got my cards ready. I know I won't need to use them, but let us be respectful. This is not Notts County Mad or Twitter, okay? Respect, please, gentlemen. Duncan Comrie, good evening, fellow Magpies. Paul Hawksworth, what a couple of weeks we've had. Notts have been excellent. And Taylor, as I said earlier on in the season, looks the real deal for this level. Chris Gosling, I'm booking my hotel for FA Cup final weekend. There you go, supreme optimism. We'll read some more of those thoughts out shortly. But Leslie Bladd, let's talk Saturday before we go into the FA Cup. I'm sure hospitality has seldom been busier in the National League. Wonderful crowd, nearly 13,000. What was your take? What did you think of it all Saturday?
Well, I've been involved with the club for many years now, and I can tell you that behind the scenes, everybody, including the manager and the players, was making a concerted effort to promote the game on Saturday. Not because it was a cheaper game, but to try and get fresh faces maybe to come down and take a look at what's going on at the club. And I've been really, really amazed at the progress that has been made. We don't go back too far when we talk about that bad week at Altrincham, with Halifax and Woking, and wonder what was happening. And we have to give credit to the manager, the backroom team, and all the players for that takes a lot of work. And I would imagine there's a hell of a lot of work gone on the training ground to get to where we are just of late. I have been absolutely amazed. You know, we're going to talk about the FA Cup. I went up to Rochdale. Never at any minute did I think we were being outplayed in the 90 minutes. I thought we was equal to Rochdale, and maybe on chances we should have won the game. With the big league matches, we've been playing teams that supposedly were better than us. You know, we've beaten Stockport at home. We went up to Grimsby. I didn't go to Grimsby. I didn't see that game. I saw that winning goal at the end. I thought we should have beaten Bromley, who were a very, very tough side to beat. And you know, moving on to Saturday, there's a team that I think it's 1 goal conceded in the last 7 league games, 1 goal in last 9, I think. We know Neil, Ardley, we know how he would have got them set up, and he would have been doing his utmost to try and stop us scoring. And once again, the pressure's there. The crowd's in there. There's nearly 13,000. Are they going to deliver? You know, there's a big question mark about players. You know, they've not experienced a crowd like that before. Will they be able to stand up? And I thought each and every single one of them was superb on Saturday. For a complete 90-minute performance. If I've got anything to say on the downside, it would be that I'd like to see a goal scored in the first 45 minutes. But we had a few. I thought we were well worth a 2-0 lead at half time. But superb performance, and look, great for everybody. Wonderful.
Very good synopsis, Les. Before we drill down too much into what I would call the footballing side of things, just want to talk a little bit about the size of the crowd, composition of the crowd, and the success Notts have had with these kind of fixtures. I thought that Saturday was kind of textbook execution, PR, marketing. It had players actively involved, like you said, manager, coaches. There was the video of a couple of the players selling tickets, in which Chloe Page, one of our regular pundits here, presenters, couldn't be with us. But those of you who saw the video, you would have seen Chloe loitering in the background like a good one, just on camera there, just as Vincent's selling a ticket, just in the background, here, there, getting herself in shot. So, but I thought it was textbook execution, and I think it worked extremely well. I think it is interesting. This kind of phenomenon of fans fixtures, I guess, would date back to after Alan took over from the Trews. And I just pulled up some figures here that in 2018, the first of these fixtures, when it was £2 to get in for adults, not £5, was 17,274. Cambridge the following year was 15,026. That was the year we went down. 9,090 first season in the National League against Fyle, and then 12,843 on Saturday. I mean, the first thing I would say, because these things tend to get a kind of I don't know whether it's social media falseness about it. We've won 3 of those 4 games. So when people say we don't turn up for the big games, we don't do this, we don't do that, that statistically it is false. Yeah, we have won 3 out of those 4 big games that we've promoted for a variety of reasons with substantial attendances. So firstly, let's just nail that social media myth. Notts do turn up for the big games. Around me, it was noticeable. There was a real family, community spirit to the game. I mean, literally sat next to me were two fathers with four children, all under the age of 8, and I think they were all 4 young daughters. I spoke to these people just to gauge, and I spoke to other people, and a lot of these people wouldn't ordinarily come. A lot of people, interestingly, I was trying to do as much research as I could, are people that aren't necessarily from Nottingham. So I support Notts County because my dad, granddad, great granddad, since 1890, whatever it was, in the very first years of the Football League. So I am not a problem. I will always be at Notts County. But as populations move around the country, you're then looking for them to form an affinity that isn't necessarily given to them by their parents, which is a lot of what Notts fans are about. So a lot of people I spoke to are trying it out for the first time. It's affordable. And clearly they want to see Notts win, but it's an atmosphere, it's an environment, isn't it? And the young daughters that was sat just along from me, they loved it. They loved it. They wouldn't understand the nuances. Why should they? Did I at 8? No. But it's kind of an entertainment, like you go into the cinema. So I thought the atmosphere was actually really, really good. And if you can just get a few of those people converted and involved at Notts, because it is going to be a different atmosphere at a Notts game compared to a Forest game, where Forest fundamentally operate at 90% to 100% of their capacity. So therefore, they haven't got much scope to get. There aren't many spare seats. So I thought it was extremely well done. What's your take, from having watched Notts as long as I have, on the composition of the crowd and the success of it and the atmosphere?
Just going back to your Forest nearly sell out, that you have to include the opposition support as well, who make up numbers. And on Saturday, we had opposition support of nearly 700 in an area that holds nearly 5,000. You'll have to say that the 3 stands that the Notts County fans were in were virtually full. So everybody should take applause for themselves for supporting that event. Also, I have to say that I've attended a few games with the Remembrance Service, and I have never known anything so quiet, where everybody, even children, I never heard a child screaming or shouting in the area that I was in. And I think everybody should clap themselves in the support they gave that as well. A lot of work had gone on to make that a great service. So yes, it was fantastic. So and sorry, Paul, your original question was.
I can't remember. You've gone on so long
as well. I just thought I needed to bring that up. I think you were talking about the crowd, the atmosphere. Most of those players probably would have been their biggest attendance, and that's a slightly different pressure. And like you've said, are they going to turn up or are they not going to turn up? But I thought they revelled in on that game on Saturday, and that was a tough game, as we say. They haven't conceded many goals. It wasn't going to be easy, and they worked. And I'll tell you what, I couldn't stop clapping on that first goal. If that had been shown on Match of the Day, a Premiership goal, that would have been shown time and time again. That was a top class goal, that. And yeah, well done to them all. We're hoping, the club will hope, in previous years they have done 2 promotions, one before Christmas, one after, like you've said, at £2 a game. And it has been done really to attract the new people in, not to offend season ticket holders with a cheap price game, but to try and attract people to see what's going on down at Meadow Lane. So we hope those that come along on Saturday, new for the first time, will have come down and enjoyed it. I had the pleasure of patrolling and talking to 3 rooms of hospitality guests, around 300, and there won't be many Premiership clubs that get 300 people on hospitality. And there was Forest supporters in there, and they thoroughly enjoyed the experience, the hospitality experience. So, maybe with a quiet weekend in future, they may come along again and help to swell the numbers there. As you say, we had Mike Edwards as our special guest, and he was there telling his stories, you know, from the past with the big game at Juventus. A lot of people like that one. Tomorrow even we've got Gary Lund coming along, and he's got a few stories to tell as well. So as well as having the meal and you know, our match day host, Neil Humphrey, really excels with a former player. And also what has been absolutely unbelievable when I talk to the people is to see and hear the head coach, Ian Birchinall, visit every hospitality room around an hour before kickoff to announce the team, to let people know if he's made any changes and the reasons he's making changes. They just find that absolutely unbelievable that they're seeing the manager, you know, less than an hour before kickoff, and he's telling people what's going on at the club. And I think it's not something that I've experienced in my playing days. And to hear what the people and the remarks that they're saying, what a lovely guy, and he's keeping us informed about the club, and it's wonderful. They're just loving the experience.
Yeah, well said again, Les. I think I also just want to pick up on a couple of things because I've seen one or two bits. I don't like social media particularly because I don't actually think it's particularly representative of real fans' views. However, I have seen a few people having a dig at the club about queuing for refreshments, tea bars, all of that sort of thing. Look, the reality is, in my experience in the game for many years, unless you've got about 3,000 tills, 3,000 serving staff, and about 150 tea bars, right? You cannot serve 3,000 people at once. And I think, you know, again, I went down and had a look, and I think the staff did the very best that they could. The reality, if you want a coffee at 10 to 3, the chances are you're going to queue a lot longer than if you're there earlier in the ground at 10 past 2. You've just got to accept that for what it is. And I think sometimes people are very quick to be critical and undermine. I mean, I remember when I did my book, Les, when you were about the second person to completely read all 250,000 words of it. Everyone I've spoken to personally, thankfully, likes the book, very nice and complimentary. You open a page on social media, one of the first ones I read, and it goes, yeah, quite a few spelling mistakes in it. You know, obviously this guy on social media is anonymous. Yeah, they all are. I don't think they really exist. But the point being, you want to kind of go back to him and say, hey, when did you last write? What did you do for Notts County? When did you last write a book with 250,000 words and you won't pick up on 3 spelling mistakes? Unfortunately, a little bit of that is human nature on social media. And I think that's a bit mean. And you know me, I will always call it as I see it. I've been on both sides of the fence. I think that's a bit mean towards the club. Yeah, the staff there have worked incredibly hard to put on a great showcase. You know, as a season ticket holder and someone who puts corporate monies into the club, you know, I am very happy. You wouldn't do it because it would dilute the effectiveness. But as a season ticket holder, I pay my money up front and I get a reserve seat for that. I'm not bothered if technically the club did it 10 times at £5. I'm not bothered because I want to see people around me. I want to see more people watching my football club. I wouldn't take a very insular view and say, oh, my season ticket is not actually very good value for money now, because if I don't buy a season ticket, you know, I would have saved £30. You know, for me, that's a very small, narrow-minded attitude. You know, we need to grow this club and grow this support as much as we possibly can. We have a facility that's got the 18, 19,000 seats. I want to see as few seats as possible in that stadium every week. I want to see a better crowd. And if it means I have to queue up half an hour extra for a coffee, 10 minutes extra for the loo, hey, that's a price that I'm very, very prepared to pay. I mean, the only possible thing I could say about Saturday, for these games, we don't open them at the Jimmy Cyril side. I understand why, because of the stewarding costs that would then cut into the profit margins of those games. I do wonder when we get these games to be so successful that we're getting nearly 13,000 in for one game, whether there is an argument to open a section of the Jimmy Cyril side, so that there's a bit more space for people. There's a few more T-bars over there that can be opened. But that's a very, very, very small point. But I think the club should be congratulated for doing a fantastic job growing Notts County, and very, very well done. And as I've said earlier, I think the players do turn up for most of these games, most of the times, despite it's a point that Carl Motson picked up on some of the messaging, that they do turn up for these games. It's a great experience for them. I'm sure as a player, Les, you'd much rather play in front of a big crowd than a small crowd, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the dream of every professional footballer, to run out at a full stadium. Some great experiences for me running out at Old Trafford, running out at Sunderland, running out at Villa Park, the roar of those crowds, and running out at Meadow Lane with 30,000 plus. In those days, County Road was full of Notts County supporters. The opposition didn't get the chance to go in there. Yeah, and I'm not talking about myself here personally, but I believe that if you are a player, you will excel in that atmosphere. I've known a few players that during the week I've trained with, and they've been absolutely fantastic players, but come to the dressing room on a Saturday and a big crowd, you could see the nerves, and never really perform like they should perform. So to some people it gets to them, but to me, being a professional footballer is being out there playing in front of a big crowd and giving that crowd something to cheer about and go home happy.
Very good. Plenty of comments coming in from our Magpie Circle flock on pies and pints and all the rest of it. Mr. Neil H.O., the T-bars can't cope with the crowd. They need to have more mobile T-bars. If they're going to get a crowd over 9,000. Lawton's also needs reopening. Ian Bircham, I'm with you, Paul. I'm a season ticket holder and have no issue with promotional offers. Gary Wardle, Paul, no doubt this is the best and most sensible, respectful form of media available to us Notts fans. Let's pull up in for Gary S. Great day on Saturday. Do you think normal ticket prices are comparable to others at this level? Could we reduce them a bit, as can be an expensive day out for a family? I think, Gary, Notts' pricing, I think, is broadly comparable with the rest of the conference, or National League, as it should be correctly called. I think the reality is that football is not, in inverted commas, as cheap a one-off experience as it used to be. I think if you go round and to places like Baseford United, Carlton Town, I don't know the exact prices, but you're paying up to a tenner at that level. And I'm not saying that is wrong, but I'm saying football, it's not something you get for a quid or a couple of quid anymore these days. I think Notts, to be fair, do have quite a good season ticket pricing structure with young people up to the age of, is it 24 or 25 now? So I do think they do their best. I think it is difficult, and I understand that it can be expensive for people. And clearly, when we have these promotional days, it shows the appetite to come and watch live Notts County football at Meadow Lane. Daft as it seems, although the club will take more money in pies, pints, and all the rest of it, doesn't necessarily make a massive difference. The investment with these days is to attract and diversify your fan base. And I think someone earlier in the conversations spoke about why this game could have chosen another game. I think choosing international weekend breaks works very well. It means there is very little other football on domestically, and therefore you can attract a lot of the casual football fans. You know, I know people that come from Leicester, I know people that come from Derby, because on that particular weekend, Notts County, that's the only place where you can get your dose of inverted commas decent football. So personally, I think it's probably a pretty well chosen game, and I know that's how they've done it in the past. Aaron Porter says, well, how good was Saturday? Very happy for Cairo getting his first league goal. He absolutely deserves it. I think Palmer is far too good for this league as well. What else have we got? David Shorter says, obviously the people complaining about the T-bars do not go to away games. What I think we can say is that the facilities at Notts, you might have to queue a little bit for the really, really big games, but the facilities we have at Notts are in the main substantially better than 95% of all other clubs. But anyway, I think we've kind of done that one to death now. So I want to turn the spotlight onto the FA Cup. Before the first game against Rochdale, we spoke about magic of the cup, and it was good to hear the overwhelming majority of our fan base still get excited about the cup. And I guess the added attraction for us in the National League is that playing Rochdale is now a big deal for us, when 3 years ago it probably wouldn't have been. I've done a few sums to talk from a financial perspective about what it means to the club. So minimum bottom line profit, if we can beat Rochdale tomorrow, is £82,000. Now that's based on, excuse me, that's based on £60,000 for each club in the next round being paid as a television facility fee. So if we get through, we get paid £60,000, as do either Plymouth or Sheffield Wednesday. So that's money straight in the Notts County coffers. We also get just it's catching, Les.
It is.
We also get 22,000 from the FA for winning and going through in this round. So that's 82 grand straight off the bat, straight into the bank account. If we were to conservatively say 6,000 as a crowd, because it will depend largely Plymouth or Sheffield Wednesday. If you said 6,000, paying roughly 20 quid, that's 120,000. You get in the FA Cup 40%, broadly speaking, of the total gate receipts. So we're looking at probably 50 grand there. So you add 50 on to 80. So that gets you 130 grand just for getting through as a broad figure. If you win, we don't want to get too carried away here. If you win, you get 34 grand in additional prize money. So if you can get into round 3, massive if, you're talking 160 to 170,000 pounds. Now that's big money for Notts in the current situation. When you think of the debate that we have on transfers, you know, when we talk about Ruben Riguez, 500,000, yeah, don't let him go for any less than that. You're talking a third of a potential, and I have to say a very top end figure, in my opinion, of a transfer fee for Ruben. So I think there's a football side of it that we as fans want. I also think this is a big deal for the club. This is probably, other than the promotion itself, you know, the single biggest cash flow change that the club can have this year. And as such, you know, I think for me, it's a big deal. So I've come at it from almost like with my accountant's hat on, Les. How important do you think tomorrow night's game is in the grand scheme of things?
In the grand scheme of things, for the manager and the players, it will be vitally important to win that game. They'll have taken a look. They'll have gone to Rochdale, giving them respect, and they'll have come off that pitch. And I'm pretty sure they'll have said, we should have won today. We'll show them in a replay. So it will come from a football perspective, not a financial perspective. They won't be looking at it from that side. The club wants to progress, and everybody wants to do well in the FA Cup, but ultimately the league is we need to get back and play in the football league, and above anything else, that is prime. We'll love a cup run. We want to win tomorrow night. We'd love to play Sheffield Wednesday, Plymouth, whoever. It'll be great just to see how we're standing up against teams at that level of football. But as I say, we've shown at Rochdale we were as good as them, if not better. So we need to do it again tomorrow night. But as I say, it will be coming from a player's perspective with the football field as opposed to the financial side.
Yeah, I was trying in a way, Les, to take a slightly more holistic view, because as you know, I am a results man through and through. Nothing else matters to me, and you are absolutely right. This season will be judged a success or failure on whether we get back into the Football League or not. For me, that is the only metric, success or failure of this season, that you can judge it on. But I guess my point is that if you can get a substantial six-figure injection into the finances, is that something that can then potentially be reinvested, in a transfer window, when the Football League transfer windows open in January, and when we as fans all say, oh, we only need to spend this, or, owners, get your checkbook out, and those sorts of things, and we ask, things like the official Notts County Supporters Association, who sweat blood and tears, and they might raise £2,000 from an event, which is a huge amount of effort, right, from all sorts of people. This cup run here, you are talking substantial sums of money that could potentially make a material difference to how we approach the final 4 or 5 months of the season.
Maybe, but I have my doubts, having spoken to the owners initially on how they were trying to set up the football club. I think they've got money that they could throw into football and bring in maybe some bigger name players, but they are trying to build a football club, a sustainable football club. From the outset, they've been looking to get a squad of full-time players, 22 competition in each position, and they want everybody on board. Players that are out of the team to feel part of it. And I've never known such a squad of players so on each other's side. It's just incredible at the moment. We score a goal, the whole group of players there to celebrate. Look at Cara Mitchell. He comes on Saturday and scores his first league goal, and they were so pleased, each and every player. There's a sub come on and scored. I just feel that there's something special going on behind the scenes. It's not about money. It's not enticing players with money. It's about the development of the right sort of players coming into the club. That is the ultimate for the owners of the club, and they're doing it on the back of their business with the data on players, trying to ensure that the right ones come in. And I think generally we can look at most of the players that have come in and say they've been a great asset to the club. So yeah, I'm not so sure that if we do have a good cup run, it will be invested into a big name player, shall we say? Maybe I'm wrong. I just don't know. But I like what's going on down there. I love to see the improvement that's going on. It takes me back to my days and how hard we worked to get to where we were. And I think we're seeing the fruits of late. The last few games, 90-minute performance have been fantastic. As I say, the only knock I'll get is we're not getting a goal in the first half. But, I'm watching Palmer and he's reminding me so much of Don Masson and wanting the ball, getting the ball, making things happen. Okay, we played a little different than them with in those days with wide men getting forward, and Don used to be able to knock the ball over the back or inside of fullbacks. It's a more sustainable build-up now, but he reminds me very much of Don. He's involved in everything and making things tick. And, you know, Vincent's coming into things as well. I just think there's a huge development going on at the club. I just think we were unlucky, you know, when we went to Altrincham, having lost our goalkeeper, 3 centre halves, and our game changer. That was tough, and we suffered with that. And I did actually feel that we might be struggling a bit on Saturday when we lost Kyle Cameron. You know, the guys came in and did a fantastic job. I think we're moving on, and I'm well pleased what's happening at the club.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, for me, the last 2 games in the league, in terms of Grimsby and Solihull, have been for me the most encouraging, and give me more grounds for optimism that we can finish top or playoffs, wherever we want us to be. I derive more confidence from these last 180 minutes. If you look, and you know what my views are on stats, but if you look on stats, we've not dominated possession in these 2 games massively. So we've not got massively high XG factors. We've not got pass. You know, we are not out footballing teams massively. Like we have in some games, and which tends to be sometimes used as a metric to be decided how good we are in this division. You know, for me, we've played 2 very strong teams. And I see characteristics like resilience. We've dug in when we've needed to. We've scrapped and scraped. And yes, we've scored wonderful goals, but we've also had to really dig in as well. You know, and for me, these are the games you've got to win. Certain games when you've got 80% of possession, you know, 9 times out of 10, you are going to win the game. But the ones that, you know, nip and tuck and all the rest of it, these are the ones you've got to win. And when you win a few of them, confidence starts to grow, doesn't it? Because you have a little bit more belief.
Absolutely.
You know? And that's where I derived the most encouragement these last 2 games, because we've won them both and haven't conceded a goal. Brilliant.
And that is massive,
you know?
as you've said, that is massive to players' confidence. They've come off that pitch on Saturday in that dressing room, and they'll be a wow factor, and they can't wait for tomorrow night. And let's hope it continues.
Okay. Let us take a look at 1 or 2 of the individuals now. Goal scoring debate. And of course, you know, we always like to bring up goal scorers when you're on, Les, because obviously no one at Notts County can ever hold a candle to your record. And I want some thoughts here from our flock as to your thoughts and your views. So goal score, and I'm looking here at goal scorers only in the National League. Okay, so National League games only, not Cup. So Shimanga top by quite a way, 15 goals at Chesterfield. Campbell and Cheek 10. We have Ruben and Kyle both on 7. I want you guys out there, tell me who's worth the most money? Who's worth the most money of those players I've just mentioned? Shimanga, Campbell, Cheek, and our 2, Ruben and Kyle Wootton. Talk to me about Kyle Wootton, Les. You can obviously appreciate his talents better than most. Fantastic cross from Joel Taylor. Good finish. We periodically talk on this show a lot about Ruben and Kel. And unbelievably talented, not out and out strikers. And then I think start of the season, I did a poll of people on here, and who's going to finish top scorer? 95% of everyone said Kyle Wootton. What are your thoughts on Kyle?
What my thoughts on Kyle? I think earlier in the season he was being underutilized. we were keeping possession, knocking it around, and when things got a bit tight, he wasn't in the game. Now I think they're starting to use him more. They're knocking balls up to him. He's getting hold of them. He doesn't give the ball away. What I would like to see maybe would be Carl Roberts or Ruben, when the ball's been knocked up to Kyle, getting in at the back of him. I think that will give him the centre halves currently, they're quite comfortable going in hitting him because nobody's going in at the back. Where Carl and Ruben are waiting for the knockback, aren't they? And then the ball's picked up from there, and we build up from there. But Kyle is a tremendous asset to the club. He works his socks off. He leads the line well. I'm just not quite sure whether we've got the format right, in the box when we get opportunities in the box. In my playing days with Tony Haitley, we always worked. Obviously, we were playing a 4-4-2 then, and it was his or I's responsibility to, the pair of us, to attack the near post and the far post. And currently, when Kyle gets out of the box, involved in play, goes out wide, balls get knocked in, and I don't see a threat in there. So I think we've got to polish up a little bit on that side of it. He is more or less playing up on his own. It was interesting that when Cairo came on to play with him the last few minutes on Saturday, he got a goal. So I do think that we have got a plan B there. There is a threat with those two. I'm not privy to what's going on the training ground, but I think we'd be well capable, going with a 4-4-2 and those two lads up front, and they would cause a lot of trouble to all of the clubs in the National League. Those two playing up front.
ZO says Lincoln had a great cup run when they got out of the National League. Suspect momentum and money in the short and medium term was a big difference for them. Could be for us. If we do spend money, could be on Patterson. We'll come on to Anthony in a moment. In terms of who we're looking at as the ideal strikers of that list I've mentioned in terms of top scorers so far, Chris B says Shimanga. Kelvin Hallam says, I would say Rodriguez as a wild card, as he has a bit of everything going forward. In Birchnell, Shimanga for me right now, but it may even out over the season. Aaron Porter, Shimanga every single day of the week. Our guys mentioned are both class, but Shimanga is a match winner and arguably a better one than any player we have. Derek and Jim, it's league goals. So yes, Kyle has got more, but for the sake of a fair comparison and given National League and getting out of it is the most important thing, I'm quoting goals in the National League. Gary Wardle, our guys aren't out and out strikers and the team plays a totally different style to most others. It's fair enough. So it's unfair to expect them anywhere near top goal scorers. Mr. Neil H.O. Shimanga should have signed him instead of Mitchell. Dina Garner, potentially again. That's a long time ago. Inspector 71. I think a centre forward who is a natural finisher at this level wins us the league from where we are now. Gary Wardle, I can't for the life of me see not speculating on any individual player. We are all about team. Okay, so some good debate in terms of that. National League. Talking generically now, they've come out this week and recommended, and a letter has been sent out by Mark Ives to all National League clubs saying that on Boxing Day, could all teams wear their away shirts, including the home team, subject to being a non-clash. This was something that Shelter had recommended to the Premier League, but has been knocked back. Proactive by the National League, I think it's good. And we said at the start of the show, what else can the National League do that is different? I think they miss a trick. I think they've got to try and be a bit more creative. and different, market themselves a bit differently, generate some interest in the league. We talk a lot about playing budgets. Clearly, they're looking or investigating a salary cap for next season. What do you think, Les, about all the league publishing all overall playing budgets for each club, and or publishing all transfer fees? Is that information too commercially sensitive, or does it benefit us as fans by understanding what is actually being spent, rather than us all and the media wildly speculating all the time? What do you think?
I think it's a tough one. I'm not so sure that if I was in an owner's position, I would want to put all the information, the money that I'm spending out there. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not sure that it's the right way to go about things. And what purpose would it serve with the league if each club, so each year 2 clubs get relegated into the league, into the National League, and their budget's probably higher because of the players that they're carrying from that league. They come down. What happens to those players? Should those players have a salary that's reduced? It is a very, very difficult one. Ultimately, the chief executive and the owner of the club, they're the people that's working on to keep that club heading in the right direction financially. I do fully understand your point, and at the end of it all, it's only when things go wrong with the club, it's the supporters that suffer. The owners generally go, don't they? And it's left for the supporters to suffer the sad times. I certainly think that there should be a watchdog that oversees each football club and ensures that it is doing everything in that should be done correctly, that they're not overspending. I'm not sure how that can be done, but it's certainly that needs to be implemented. There is too many new faces now coming in as owners, and the gambling with managers' careers. They're not lasting very long. They're very quickly gone, aren't they? And in the days that I played, there was no social media, so the build up now of a couple of bad results and very quickly the fans can be said, oh, the manager out, and then that gets through to the owner and he's getting edgy and decisions are made and oh dear, the clubs can capitulate very, very quickly. So I do think there should be some transparency to each club, but without financial details. It's the overspending that is the key issue.
Yeah, I mean, I understand everything you say there, Les. I think one of my clients is Major League Soccer, and in their league, every player's salary is published. So Wayne Rooney's salary when he was at DC United is in the public domain, as is every player in Major League Soccer. And a lot of this also applies across the other American professional sports leagues. Now, not for a minute am I advocating that players' salaries should be made public. But I think, we as fans make very flawed, judgmental decisions on what clubs are and aren't spending. So we all slaughter now Wrexham for how much they're spending overall. Now, we're not talking about revealing players' individual salaries. We're saying your playing salary budget is X. Yeah. we talk a lot about Chesterfield. Now, if you listen to James Rowe, he'll say that their budget actually isn't that big. Yeah. And a lot of people will hoot with derision. Maybe he's wrong, maybe he's right. But if the league publish in the national division all 23 teams, okay, it takes away the debate. Now, there is an argument that is financially sensitive information. But I would ask, why is it? If someone is spending huge sums of money and doesn't want it to be published, that probably means they're living beyond their means. You know, I think those of us in the game knew Bury, when they dropped out of the Football League, were an accident waiting to happen. You know, crowds of 2,000 to 3,000. We went up there the year they went up. You know, speaking to their directors, they had 2 players in crowds of 2,000 to 3,000 on £8,000 a week. Clearly, that is massively unsustainable. So when we talk about financial prudence and accountability, I think if you have to publish your playing budget without going into specific details, I think that becomes an additional brake on trying to manage your finances properly. Salford would have been another case in point when they went up. I'm not sure I buy into it's financially sensitive, because at the end of the day, when you publish your annual report, your profit and loss is in there. It's all largely massaged and all the rest of it, but you still have to publish an overall profit and loss. And when things go wrong, Mel Morris is very quick to publish how much money is lost, isn't he? I just think that by publishing your wage bill, I think it's an additional break. And likewise, why is it commercially sensitive that Chesterfield have paid £100,000 or £200,000 to Chibonga? Well, I don't get that. I don't get that. How is that financially sensitive?
Well, that isn't the issue, is it? The money that they probably paid for him. It's what money he's been paid to play.
Yeah,
for
I'm not
them.
saying you don't publish players' wages. So we've even got a debate on tonight about what Notts' wage bill. Some people will say it's only £1 million. Some people will say it's north of 2. What I'm trying to understand is, if each club published its own, as a fan, you have a more accurate barometer of value for money, understanding, comparing, benchmarking with others.
I think I'd rather go down the line of that each club, according to their income, cannot exceed a percentage of that in players' salaries. I think that would probably be more in line for me than I don't know. It's a question that you'd have to ask the owners. Yeah, sorry, Paul, I can't help you with that one.
No, I mean, I'm just canvassing views.
Yeah.
And thoughts. I mean, the National League scenario is well, it is and it isn't likely to change, isn't it? Because they're looking to get a salary capping of 900 grand. You know, good luck with that. Good luck with that. I can't see
what to each club.
Yeah, that's the plan for next year. There's been a working party set up by the National League, and there's a recommendation of a salary cap of 900,000, with exceptions dropping out of the Football League, i.e., I'm guessing they will say, let's say the parachute payment is £500,000. I'm guessing they would then say the 2 clubs relegated, their playing budget is 1.4, not 900.
So if your club averages 500 a game and another club averages 10,000 a game, it's the same salary cap.
Well, in terms of its raw view at this point, that is what they're looking at. Now, like you, I don't see there's a cat in hell's chance of that getting through in its current format, but there is a working party established by the National League to look at a salary cap.
Yeah. Well, that certainly won't work, will it? There'll be a lot. Well, if there becomes a salary cap, where are these we'll lose a lot of the good players in the National League. They'll be playing, would the likes of the lad that came from Cambridge who got promoted, would he drop down 2 levels to play for Stockport? Was it Stockport he went to, or Wrexham? That Wrexham had 2 players, didn't they, that were playing in the first division that joined them. That's you're basically saying that each team will field players of mediocrity. I don't mean that in a derogatory insult to the players that's playing in there, but no, that can't be right. Not for me.
Yeah, look, there's no right and no wrong here.
No.
And the model that you're talking about there is kind of what the Premier League would advocate. They'll say there should be no breaks because that stifles quality. Yeah, and you're quite right. If the salary caps coming into the National League, the quality of players that have recently dropped down won't be happening.
Yeah,
won't be, because they're not going to drop out the Football League if the wages don't go up, are they? And they've got, if they've got salary A at a Football League club and they're offered the same salary by a National League club, you ain't going anywhere, are you? You ain't dropping into the National League.
No,
it's not happening. It's not happening. But then it starts to come into the whole disparity, so therefore, why should the Premier League give Championship clubs any more money than they do at the moment? A lot of people would say money should be more evenly distributed. Premier League will say we need every penny from our 100 million a year, because the reason the Premier League is the best football product in the world is because we reinvest, I use the word loosely, reinvest that money in getting the best players in the world and paying them the best wages in the world, because if we didn't, we wouldn't get those players.
Yeah, well, I've got my own thoughts on that. I often think it's time that the EFL should break away and create their own sponsorship deal with the Championship, and maybe it's time for the National League to move up and become the 4th division. Find a sponsor and share the money as it was pre-Premier League across the divisions, so that every team, every supporter in every league has got that dream that they can go and play in the top one, like it was when I played as well. Teams from the 4th division could go, supporters' dreams were that their club in the 4th division could go and play in the 1st division and possibly win it. And it was happening. And that's gone now. That's out of football. Unless you've got the money, you ain't going to compete anymore. And the longer it goes on, for me, that Premiership will remain with those big money ones up there and those that don't have the money down there. And that can't be good. Not my idea. Sorry if it doesn't matter.
Debate on money and football. Let's wrap up. And let's wrap up on a positive. Now, I've got to say, and I've not yet got him on one of my one-on-ones, but I will be in touch with you after this show. Now, Gary Lund, great goal scorer, great servant for the club. He keeps a relatively low profile. I've not seen too much of him at Notts. You've done well to get him down there.
Tomorrow night?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's coming down as our special guest. No, he doesn't come to a lot of games. I think Saturday afternoons is a busy, probably he's busy working, I don't know, with his estate agency, but he came down to one of the pre-season games, and he's coming down tomorrow night. He's obviously got a lot to talk about with the cup, hasn't he, with that goal scored in Manchester City. So he's a key man, and yeah, it'd be good to see Gary again. Yeah.
Excellent. And do you feel good about tomorrow night, Les?
You've touched on it. I've just been amazed these last few games how it seems to be gelling together, and seeing 90-minute performances although I wobbled a bit on Saturday, I thought at the end we seemed to just wobble a bit at the end, but no, I'm really encouraged with what I've been watching the last few games, and I'm going to go down tomorrow feeling as confident as winning now, because there's nothing to be fear. I don't think, what will be, but we are a very competitive side. We play football the right way. We get it forward when we can, and I'm sure it will come together, and around the opposition's box, we'll get on the end of more things in there. It's developing in the right way for me. I speak with Ian, and I congratulated him on Saturday on the way things are going. He says we still got a lot of work to do, and I'm encouraged listening to him. They're working so hard. I talk to the players. They love the training sessions. They love the way they're playing, and they want to get better, and that's great. So it seems to be working well at the moment. Let's hope it continues.
Indeed, we hope. Yeah, I always love the midweek games. As you know, I would love to go and watch Notts 2 games a week, every week. I enjoy it. It fills the week up. It's always a little bit different under the lights for me. You've been to work, whatever, you head down there. I always find it just a little bit more magical nighttime under lights. As I said, I'm sure the players don't always agree, but 2 games a week for me, great. Keeps us busy, gives us something to look forward to during each and every week. So let's hope as many of us are down there on Tuesday night. We will be back on Wednesday evening. Lee Curtis is joining us from the Nottingham Post to reflect on what we hope will be a progression into round 2 of the FA Cup, and also interesting fixtures on the road. Eastleigh, short journey down there, and Boreham Wood in the following midweek. And also, if you've not seen it, my son has pointed this out. Martin Allen, it is the best birthday greeting to a fan ever. Check it out on social media. God knows how many tens of thousands of hits it. But Martin's done something to a fan, a follower, a friend, or something. Martin is currently down with COVID, so we do wish him a speedy and quick recovery. But if you've not seen the video message, it is vintage, I have to say, vintage Martin Allen. Leslie, thank you ever so much indeed. And picking up on Ian Birchinall's point, I am going to be in touch with Gary Lund with a view to joining us on one of our podcasts. So if you see he's not on it in the next few weeks, it's because he's turned me down. I'm surely won't. I'm sure I'll just pretend to say I'm interested in a load of his houses that he's got for sale on his estate agency. So you can string him along a bit and get him on the show. Thank you everyone for watching and listening tonight. See as many of you as possible down the lane on Tuesday evening. We're back on Wednesday evening, looking ahead to Eastleigh with Lee Curtis from the Nottingham Post at 7 o'clock.